I can't believe it. We got to blow out at home. After everything that happened the first 2 weeks for the FAU football season, and some home cooking came out, and we didn't just cook, we toasted, burned, broiled, and rotisserie Tulsa, 50-21. And this is the FAU football Fancast, September 17, 2014. I'm George. On Twitter, I go by King of Podcasts, and my voice sounds really weird. So we're kind of changing things up a little bit tonight. And meanwhile, my brother Andy is standing by with me. He's on Twitter at FAU Wise Guys, wearing doing the Corey Hart thing. I wear my sunglasses at night so I can. No, but my voice sounds like crap just because first cold of the year. I don't know what it was, but like in the office, like you know what it was, and I think it's like back to school kind of thing, because the kids probably come around, and then parents probably catch what the kids got, and then it lures into the office. So whatever happened Monday night, we got some germs rolling around, and all of a sudden,
you lost your voice when you were cheering on Saturday, man. That's what it was.
I lost part of it. Yeah, it was doing pretty good right there. Wore myself out, and then getting all pissed off with the Mayweather fight, because that was just like 2 hours of waste of my time.
That's why I didn't go watch it.
Yeah. Oh, it was gonna be just some another one of those crooked judge like kind of things, but the win. I mean, it was and I'll tell you what, we were over at the Bokeh House. I was there with my friend Frank Watson. Shout out to you. I'll see Webmaster on Twitter. We went and I can tell you there was a lot of FAU fans after the game that they were at Bokeh House in Yamato cheering up, and they all had their colors on, and they were celebrating. But we were kind of comfortable being one of those Florida teams that didn't struggle with their opponent. I mean, unlike Miami and Arkansas State, and then that squeeze like an orange out of for Florida in the swamp against Kentucky in 3 overtimes. A team that Kentucky has never beat them in the swamp since the 70s, and they haven't beaten in like 25 years.
Well, the problem is that Florida just hasn't been good the last couple of years. They're good, they're just not SEC good. That's one of the problems. So they're going to continue to struggle. I'll tell you what though, and Miami just they didn't play horrible, but they didn't play that great against Arkansas State. I mean, the most entertaining thing about that game was the guy that faked his getting shot.
That was pretty good.
It was pretty funny though.
But I mean, hell, we went about like doing a full play that just completely took everybody by surprise. When you're Arkansas State, look, they're one of those teams that
didn't take anybody by surprise. The Canes intercepted, and then that guy got lit up. After he got up from his little fake death, they just lit him up.
Hey man, Arkansas State's one of those teams we used to play in the Sun Belt every year, and I remember that kind of trickery they go up against us, and it was tough for them, man. It was just like, I mean, you do what you can. They kind of stayed toe to toe, and by the way, did it look like the stadium looked a little bit fuller for us? And I think we had a fuller student section than they did at Pro Player.
If we just put the camera, towards the south end zone, then we'd look pretty damn full, but
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the students turned out, and I've seen that student section get pretty full before. It's not like that. It's not like that section's been barren. No. I think at the end of last year, they just stopped coming because we just weren't very good. But there's no reason for them to not fill that every time. Now, the rest of the stadium, lots of work to be done to fill the rest of the stadium up. I mean, like I said, I've said it before, but now I even have my doubts. I've been saying for a while now that I think the next time that we fill our stadium is going to be when we play Miami next year. But I got to tell you, if we took the combined amount of people that went to the game in Miami and our game, we might not fill our stadium up.
Right. So probably could very well be. But I'll tell you what. Getting back to the game itself, Tulsa, you saw just an electricity, and I don't know what the motivation was and how the team was kind of getting prepped for the game on Saturday night. But I'll tell you, like, everything worked out fine. And can I tell you, the run on Twitter right now that I'm looking at, as I'm looking at just at FAU and then just looking at previews towards the game against Wyoming this weekend, And people are saying FAU can go 2 in a row. They could be on a roll. They're on a roll. They're on a roll. Like I'll tell you, like the change of attitude with this team on the field, and then by the media and by people out there, were just like it was an overnight change. I mean, it almost sounds like should we have kind of like were we a little too critical last week?
I listen. The problem is that these body bag games that we play, they don't. They just don't do a good job of giving us a scale at where we're at. So, we saw a team last year that at the end, we beat a bunch of teams that weren't very good at the end, but we pounded on them, which is what we needed to do. So then you get to, well, how good are we compared to, a team at our level? So this week, we're going to get a good gauge. I don't think that Wyoming is that good a team. I know they've had decent teams in the past, but this team doesn't score a lot of points. And they didn't score a lot against Air Force. They didn't score a lot against a Montana team that isn't like it used to be. No. And they got trounced by Oregon, but everybody gets trounced by Oregon. That's not a big deal. That's like us. That's like somebody saying, "Oh, they got blown out by Alabama and Nebraska." Well, a lot of teams get blown out by Nebraska and Alabama, so that's not the real gauge. So last week against Oregon isn't a good gauge of the team that we're playing. But against Air Force and Montana, they didn't score a lot. And even Air Force is not having a great year. So it's yet to be seen what kind of team we're actually playing against. And it's yet to be seen how good we are against the because I don't know if Tulsa's even that good. It's hard to gauge things at the beginning of the year, but
right, and we kind of were trying to work that out with Oklahoma taking on Tulsa the week before, and then with Wyoming taking on Oregon last week.
Right,
all body bag games. You know what? I'm coming to the reality of this. Throw away those body bag games because you know what? I don't think it gives you any justification or really tells you anything about the team in general. Maybe about some individual play, but nothing about how the team might be after those games.
Well, and the thing is too is that you're trying to take into account we got a long road trip, and it's a conference that's probably a little bump up from Conference USA. I don't think it's a lot. I don't think Mountain West is as strong as it used to be because some of their teams are a little down, but still got quality teams there. So this will be a good showing for us. I mean, if we come out of here 2-2, that's what you call recovery as far as how the year was going. We could have easily spiraled into these next couple of games and not done well, and then turn it around later. But to turn it around right away like we did, that's huge.
I'm looking at one of the stories that came up about from SB Nation talking about how FAU can win 2 in a row and how they're what they did against Tulsa. And I'm not going to go through like any numbers or something like that, but they said a couple things that we did was really good. We pushed the tempo. We controlled the game all the way through. We had pressure on their quarterback all day long. I mean, the quarterback had a couple of picks and was just getting hurt. And, that's one thing they're saying that, in this story, when they're trying to compare Wyoming to Tulsa, they say that the quarterback issue with Wyoming is the same problem. The other thing we also did was we stopped the run because, the running backs that Tulsa had, they struggled. I think we even had our little problems with running game, and I was saying actually during the game itself that with the offense on the passing game, the long plays, the big plays were just enormous, and they were. I mean, can I tell you, I never seen Quez Johnson look so accurate on throws on several 50, 60-yard throws.
Well, his deep ball was on, and I mean, if we play offense the way we played offense last week, we could beat Wyoming with no problem. They're just not. I'm telling you, they're just not a team that scores a lot of points. But on the other hand, I mean, when you're talking about ESPN, ESPN was the one that was saying that Tulsa was going to take out their loss to Oklahoma on us, lowly FAU. As a matter of fact, so whatever ESPN says, you have to take it with a grain of salt sometimes when it's regarding small schools that they don't really cover as much.
Right, because you're not going to know what's going on. I mean, and you know, it's not like they're going out of their way to watch Fox College Sports on channel 694 or something to go look for
No,
the game.
they don't. They don't do that. I know. They're just not paying attention to us. It's not a big deal though. It's the life of a small Division I school like we are. We're not a small school, but a small football program. So
We're that distant cousin in the NCAA, kind of one of those things. So.
I mean,
But
I mean, you see the NCAA trying to push people. I mean, they're trying. You know, these schools they eventually want to push small teams like FAU out. They don't want us, you know, for the big time playoffs. They want the least amount of resistance to get to the championship.
exactly. Now, the rundown, you mentioned one thing, and I wanted to mention this too. So last week we talked about the Red Pants campaign, and we talked about the students that said, okay, we're going to do a Facebook campaign and a Twitter campaign, by the way. You can look for on Facebook.com/FAU dot student section. If I'm wrong, correct me, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But his Twitter name is at FAU Red Pants. After we talked about this last week, he hit us up on Twitter, right?
Oh yeah.
And he was like, really, was kind of happy to get the call out for the campaign last week. We actually did try to invite him on, but apparently he's a graduate student on campus, and he wants to remain anonymous. So we're happy to go and keep that there. And either which way, we never got a chance to find out who he is, but he was really nice to us. So shout out to FAU Red Pants, and a major shout out to the students that were very vocal, that were there. I mean, I'll tell you, I could have been more proud of the student section, and they got what they wanted, because at halftime, Coach Partridge went back, switched to Red Pants, as he promised that the students would fill that section up.
Yeah, and I mean there were still a few seats, but I mean it was the show of the moment. So of course he was going to come out, especially with that first half. He was going to come out with Red Pants. He was going to be.
I mean, you can almost have a little bit of fun the way things were going so far. I mean, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I was really happy to go see the crowd out there. And, just going back to the students themselves, just going on inside the stadium, those are the guys that are really, like, they show up when it comes to when you're coming into the stadium and you're getting that experience, the first game coming back to FAU Stadium, and we're looking at, no more couches anymore like we saw last year, where everybody just set up couches everywhere. They found whatever.
They did. There were some couches out there. I saw them.
Yeah, but a lot of tents. It was tent city out there in front of and on the grass. Lots of students. I mean, they probably had the entire student section there in front, partying and having a great old time. And let me tell you, you saw some people getting pretty wasted early on. They were all kind of.
They're students, man. They're not going to drink.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
But you can just tell everybody got their drink on and were really enjoying themselves right away. So now, also, let's talk about the. Go ahead.
Couple of hiccups that we want to go over. For first game hiccups. One that we saw right away, the driving in. I don't understand why when we came through the north entrance, like we always do, because why did they take that left turn away there, to go behind, on that small road instead of going in front of the stadium where all the people are trying to walk across? I don't get it. Who's in charge of this parking situation here?
So our section is a section that's back behind the stadium, and the thing is, we, all last year and the year before, we come in through Spanish River to go ahead and take that drive down FAU Boulevard to get into the stadium. And like he said, Andy tells me, of course, we're looking, and we can't make a straight turn by the Anderson University School. We had to go ahead and hook a right.
Yeah, I don't. Why are they trying to push traffic towards the stadium? I mean, I understand there's parking that way, but why do you want traffic to cross across the stadium? I mean, they should divert from there, but any which way, and
cops going all over the place, then you couldn't get yourself where you needed to go.
There were no signs.
No.
And I understand that these lots get filled quick. People start doing their little tailgate thing, and they take up 2 spots, and that's no problem. I'm all for tailgating. Take up the spots, whatever you want, but they should tell people which way to go. I mean, there were guys there. There was a couple of guys that drove right past them, and you have to turn around. You don't have a tag. Come on, man. They got to do better than that. The other hiccup that I saw when the team was entering, And they had the extinguishers. The smoke was a little too much there. I saw some of the players kind of taking it easy. They didn't want to run through that. They didn't know who they were going to hit. So yeah, it was interesting.
They might have had a problem hitting the trigger on that or something.
Maybe they should do no, because they have 4 or 5 of them there. They had 2 of them that were red, 2 that were white. That's easy with the smoke, guys. I got you.
Yep. In the stadium itself, we now see a new sign above the Schellenberger statue to commemorate the Howard Schnellenberger Field. It looks awesome.
Very nice. Very nice.
We now have beer guys in the stands. One notably, you could just sounds like Louis Armstrong. Ice cold beer.
No, but what was it with the groan? I don't even know what that was. Anyway,
I don't know. But what I did hear was the guy must have made some good money because he went to the University of Miami game and did beer sales for them at the Pro Player Stadium, and then flew up to FAU Stadium basically to get to this game to sell beer.
The problem is that the 2 games combined equal a full house. So that's
yeah.
But
I'll tell you, the beer, if you wanted to go and buy a beer, was $7. It wasn't that expensive. That's pretty good. And I'll tell you, other than that,
not that expensive. $7, jeez.
It used to be $9 at Lockhart. That's what I remember.
Oh, well, yeah, all right.
You're having it delivered to you at your seat.
Still think the prices are way up there. I mean, those are the prices at any stadium. I'm not naive, but I mean, it's just yeah.
I mean, I don't buy the beer. I mean, for me, I'm not big about having to buy overpriced beer at a stadium anyway. It's not for me. But I mean, I know people that if I had people next to me talking about $7 a beer, that's not bad. I don't know.
No, I don't get me wrong. I mean, I've had I have a few here and there sometimes, but
Yeah. So yeah, there was that. I mean, it was fine there, and then everything else. When it came to the stadium, the other thing I got to mention before we can move along is, we talked about the music we wanted to hear in the stadium, like get some of the.
Oh my goodness, fantastic! Who is in charge of that? Put him in charge of parking now too, man. Let me tell you, we said, and the funny thing is, we said it last week, and some of the things that we said was exactly the way this guy was going. A little Van Halen, a little Metallica, a little AC/DC. There you go, buddy. Who is in charge of that section?
Yes, that's the thing. On kick returns, you didn't hear Zombie Nation anymore. We now heard an Enter Sandman at the first half, and then White Stripes, One Nation Army in the second half. I was like, wow, they made it.
I know, and they were doing a good job. Guy in charge of the music at the stadium, excellent job, sir. I give you a thumbs up. Excellent.
I love it. It was great. Now moving along.
If we could get some people there to enjoy all the music he's playing, maybe it would be different.
Yeah. Okay, so the game against Wyoming. Now, one thing we did on the show last year when it was an audio podcast, which was something that people really did enjoy, was we would go back on memory lane once we had, in the short history of the program, we have played certain opponents, and we can go back and remember some of the games. And so for those of you, let me take you back to October 3rd, 2009. FAU did take on the Wyoming Cowboys. And, remember that year? We were struggling. We actually were 0-3 starting to come into the game, right? That was our first game at Lockhart of that year. That was our home opener that year.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, and I remember Rusty was just like, what do you remember about that? Because I just remember, like, that year, we struggled like crazy. I was just like, and it was kind of like that hangover from, winning the New Orleans Bowl and things like that. And it was just like, things just went bad. Daryl Jackson, we were not happy about the offense and how it was getting run. And defensive coordinator was just kind of doing bad. It was rough. Like, we started off, and the thing was, we didn't start with a really, like, super, remember the schedule? Well, we did start off with a tough schedule to start off. Okay, so in Nebraska, we played that year. That was the same thing like we did, a couple years ago. Or this year, we lost big. Then we played at South Carolina. Didn't have a bad performance against them. And then we played Louisiana Monroe. And remember we had that close game, and it was the second game of the year. at home because we played Louisiana Monroe the week before and lost, like,
Mm-hmm.
like next to nothing. It was just like it was 27-25, another close loss. So we were like trading touchdowns, and all of a sudden we lose track of time, and we just stuck up the joint and we lost. And like the close ball games, and we had a bunch of those games that year that were just close at the end, and it sucked.
Hey, listen. Anything that was played in Lockhart, I mean, except for a good handful of games, they were just waiting to get the stadium built kind of games.
Do you remember there was like 4 games that there was like, yeah, it was like 3 games that year we lost by 7 points or less, and they were all the Lockhart games. It was just like, good Lord, man. Well, we were struggling so bad, and then we kind of came up a little bit better because we did end up winning. That year we went 5-7, and I just remember, yeah. So we did win a couple of games at the end with Western Kentucky and FIU, but other than that, it was just, and crowds were not much bigger than they were at FAU Stadium now, 15, 14,000, but in Lockhart it looked kind of big. And I just remember Rusty just, and that was the thing. I just remember Rusty Smith he was having a bit of a tough time. It was like, I don't know if it was just like we had a couple changes in the lineup and all. Alfred Morris was just getting started with the Owls and, was kind of doing some things out there, but Chris Bonner was out there and he caught a big touchdown pass. I just remember we had that was at the end of the game, 4th and 3 at the Wyoming 47, and Rusty Smith threw a pass and was trying to get it inside the end zone, to put us ahead. And I don't know why, but yeah, so we're the 47. We had the pass, our last chance to, last play of the game, threw it, and the pass got batted down. Not even a chance to get in the end zone to get caught. So this sucked. And Rusty struggled that day. He had a rough time, but I mean the game was close, and even for our team so young back then, we were kind of back and forth, and it was interesting. And also, you know what? That was Howard Schnellenberger's 100th game coaching FAU. I just didn't know that, but that's the idea with that. So anyway, with Wyoming, I mean we don't have much to go with. We know that looks like their team offensively struggles. I think, what was the stat you saw up there when you were reading up on them?
They are like 100 and I want to say like 119 or something like that in scoring in the nation. So they don't score a lot of points. So,
No.
Like I said, we play offense like we did the other day. No problem.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing we didn't talk about was how good the defense looked, because a lot of good plays. I mean, Dijon Smith again, another big pick for a touchdown. Andre Kirk. I mean, all across the board, defense just looked solid. Didn't look tired, and I mean, when you look at the rest of the season now going forward, when you're looking at Wyoming here, do we honestly see does that long trip to Wyoming, does that bother us at all?
We're gonna find out what kind of team we really got after this road trip.
What do you expect from the game? Like, what do you expect to happen? I mean, can we expect the same performance, or can we just say that
we're not going to have the same performance we had this weekend? That's not going to happen.
What is scoring like that? I don't think so. But I think we could. I think can the play calling be the same? It's like, did we go a little above and beyond what we normally thought? I mean, I know that the luck of like the secondary for Tulsa struggled. I mean, I don't know if we're going to have those kind of looks again, for the rest of the year. But I'm just saying to myself, is the potential of the team is where we want it to be now.
Well, like I said, we'll know more about our team after this road trip.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go ahead and call it a night. I know you're telling me to wrap it up, so I got to do that. You're the producer. And anyway, guys, thank you so much for making time to join us here on the Football Fancast. Of course, you can find us every week here. We'll be back on Tuesday again. Hopefully I'll be feeling better by then, and we won't have to worry about any rescheduling or shuffling around the days. But look for us every Tuesday at youtube.com/user/FAUWiseGuys. Again, on Twitter, I'm at King of Podcasts. My brother is at FAUWiseGuys. Thanks, everybody. Hope you get to enjoy the game against Wyoming. It's a 4 o'clock kickoff. We'll talk to you next week.